Hey guys, welcome back to the Dragon Ball video. We just got some new gameplay for Dragon Ball The Breakers. And before we get into this, I want to let you guys know I really want to give this game a shot. But at the same time, I'm not going to overhype this game just for the sake of positivity or anything like that. I'm going to give it to you guys straight and let you guys know how I feel and my concerns along with the game. The very first thing that catches my attention is the HUD. Dead by Daylight had a very similar HUD at one point, and they ended up reverting it because they felt that it was a little bit too scattered. You see, when you're designing an actual overlay for a video game, you typically want all of your information to be located in one general area, maybe two depending on what it is you're trying to put on the HUD. The reason for that is so like that the player can still focus on the game pretty easily without having to divert their attention to the top right of the screen, the top left of the screen, the bottom left, and the bottom right of the screen. So the first interesting thing that happens in the trailer is Cell blows up a building, which I honestly think is really sick. It doesn't look anywhere near as dynamic as something like Battlefield, but you know, this is certainly an improvement, seeing as Xenoverse really didn't have much of this. And it would have been cool in order to implement that, especially in a game like Dragon Ball Kakarot. That's a game where they could have had something like this. And I feel like this game might actually just be a test for features like that in future games. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty interesting. Freaky looking Cell goes ahead and shoots a beam at the floor. The beam is blue, but then it turns purplish pink. And we know it's the same footage because the timestamp stays the same. But what I find interesting is Section C goes from being completely okay to being destroyed once the beam actually makes contact. You can see that indicated in red. Boom, there it goes, gone. And this is different footage, but I assume they're trying to show us that you have a bit of a panic leap button, similar to Monster Hunter if you guys have ever played that game, because this guy throws himself, man. I'm telling you, he throws himself, and he's out of the section. He's trying to escape. And how do I know that? Well, because there's a red aura around here telling us that District C is about to get bodied, or I'm sorry, District E. And every time you change district, it shows a little notification letting you know that you are in fact a different district. I guess this is important if one's about to get destroyed, or if you want to communicate with teammates, you can kind of let them know more or less where you're at. I wonder what this means. I wonder if this is how close Cell is to actually transforming again. But ignore that. Check this out. This guy pulls up a dragon radar, and here it shows us the icons for not only the Dragon Ball, which you can find throughout the map, it shows us teammates potentially, which I have to assume that's what that is. I mean, it's a person. And it also shows you key items, which I assume is going to be what you need in order to actually escape the trial. And we get confirmation that pretty much anybody can transform into a pot. You also get to organize your abilities the way you want, indicating that you can actually swap these out for other things, that there's a lot of different abilities to unlock, because at one point, we see Oolong has a pot, some kind of smoke bomb maybe, a Saiyan pod, and something else that I couldn't identify. And then at a different point, he actually has a rocket that he can transform into instead of a pot. And the human characters have pretty much the same stuff, but on one of the human characters, we end up seeing some kind of foot icon, which I imagine to be some sort of speed boost. Now, something that caught my eye is this rocket hits Cell, and there is no damage at all whatsoever on Cell. So it looks like the only way to actually hurt the villain might just be this D-change ability here at the bottom that you're seeing, that allows you to go ahead and use one of the abilities of the Z Fighters in order to fight back against the opponent. Also, these icons on the bottom that show the survivors, I think this more or less shows how many times they've been downed and who's alive or dead, and who has their D-change ability. You see this yellow aura on the D-change? That same yellow aura is present here on the character itself. I think this is meant to allow you to coordinate with your teammates if you want to go ahead and blitz Cell or any of the other raiders. While this icon here on the bottom with the numbers beside it shows that this character is actually downed and you can go over there and revive them, but you only have 12 seconds left to do it. Regardless, it looks like once you're in this red state, Cell can actually pick you up, as we see this character down here on the floor. And once you get picked up, you have a minute to be saved, which looks a little weird, and I'm not sure how accurate that is because we do see this minute timer start up once it swaps to Oolong's screen, but if we look over here, this is going by a lot faster than a minute. Like, this would not take a minute to finish up. So I'm a little unsure about that one. But something I'm not unsure about is you get extra abilities the more you kind of transform as the raider itself. We see that later in the trailer. Look at him as a little caterpillar cocoon thing, weird monster. You'll notice, unlike Final Form Cell, he doesn't have access to anything else here. Rather, instead, just having his ultimate, which his ultimate seems to be him transforming into, you guessed it, what's that Pokemon? Cell. We all knew who it was. So then, once that happens, he gets access to Special Beam Cannon and that energy wave that he shot at the building in the beginning of the trailer, as well as something that looks to be Solar Flare, some kind of sensory ability, which if it's anything like Friday the 13th, then will let you see the general direction of survivors, and what looks to be be an after image technique. And then if we go even further in the trailer to see his final form, you'll see he has like this energy slicing attack right here, which makes me think of the move from Dragon Ball FighterZ where he swings his arm and the explosions happen on the floor. He's got a move we can't see here, which has 120 seconds of cooldown, and then he also gets his barrier ability, which we can see indicated by this icon here. Also, I find it interesting that we're seeing final form Cell here, but all the characters are still alive except for one. Presumably he'd have to absorb people in order to transform, so I think he might have other means of transformation as opposed to absorbing people. He may not have to do that to actually gain forms. Overall, I think the game has the chance to be fun with friends, but it still looks pretty rough. And when I say it looks rough, I mean it looks rough beyond just being unfinished and still early in development. And I think a lot of us can agree on that. While I'm still going to give the game a shot, and while I still want it to be good, I want it to succeed, I'm concerned for the direction it's currently going in. And I think we all are. I think we all want the game to succeed, but this game almost feels like, and it's funny because One Eye Bandit said the same thing, but it almost feels like an appetizer to something that they're leading up to later. Almost as if this was meant to hold us over for the time being while they work on something bigger and better. But I don't need my games to necessarily look pretty. So as long as the gameplay is fun, as long as the gameplay mechanics work, I'm down with this game. But I can't lie, I'm a little hesitant on it. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below, and feel free to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all things Dragon Ball. There's a lot of news coming out soon, so you definitely don't want to miss out on that. With all that said, I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.